What's up, everybody? You're watching the From WordPress to Statamic YouTube channel. My name is Michael. Today, I wanted to go over some of the improvements that we can make to our control panel experience thanks to the updates we got from version 6 that came out just the other week. Now, previously, we were able to override some of our styles in our control panel by adding our own CSS file. And we can still do that, but now we have a way that we can change the entire theme without having to change our CSS file at all. Now, I'm going to come over to the Preferences section in my dashboard, and I'm going to click into My Preferences. And you can see that we have a bunch of different themes here configured already for us if we wanted to choose between them. And I select any one of them, and they all look a little bit different. You can see that the headers changed in the text color, for example, and this is the default. So we've got a few that we can choose from, and we can even make our own. So let's do that together right now. I'm going to go over into the custom section over here. And now I'm starting with the default theme. And if I wanted to make a bunch of changes, I can pick a new, let's start with our global header background. Let's go with like a nice rose there. We can also change the background to the body here. So if we did the body background, maybe we'll change this over to sort of a lighter blue over there. And if we wanted to change the content background, that'll be this section here, maybe it'll into the grays a little bit, something over here. So we have total freedom to do whatever we want. And then once we do that, it's saved for my own user. Now, if I wanted to save this and override it, make it different for each individual user and have full control that way, then I'll need the pro version of Statamic in order to do that. But as it is, I can take this theme and call it my pink theme, and I can hit publish. And this takes me to a new page on the Statamic website. And you can see I'm logged in here with my personal account, and I can publish this, or I can update an existing theme that I have with these new settings, which I'm not going to do. But you can see that I have one already called Cascadia there. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave the pink behind, and I'm going to change back to my themes. And I'm just going to pick that Cascadia theme over here. And you can see they've got a nice sort of green on the buttons there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come back over to my dashboard. And in our last video, I mentioned briefly that there's a new command palette. So if I just hit Command K, I get this nice command palette, and I can navigate basically anywhere in my dashboard just with a keystroke. Now, if I wanted to add my own stuff here, I can do that pretty easily. I'm going to come over to the command palette page in the documentation here, and you can see there's a couple of examples of how we can do that. So we're in the app service provider file, and you can see that we've got this new facade for a command palette available to us. And I've already got that in my file here. And I've got a couple of different examples of what I can do here. Now for this example, it looks like we're just using a custom Laravel route that's something defined elsewhere in our Laravel project that isn't necessarily a Statamic route. And I can link to that through here. Now our second example here has a little bit more to it, but what I'm going to point out is that the text has a little bit more to it, so that we're using an array of strings. And then we can define, for example, if we wanted to open it in a new tab. And so what that's going to do for us is that'll change a little bit of the experience within the command palette. So what I'm going to do is just copy this one, and I'm going to paste that straight into here since we have the command palette facade. And I'm just going to clear my configuration. Whoops, we are missing a comma there. Maybe that's something that needs to get changed in the documentation here if someone's going to copy paste. So heads up, Statamic folks. Let me just do that and try this again. Okay, so I'm going to come back here to my dashboard, and I'm going to give it a refresh. And I'm going to type in staff calendar, and you can see it's using that calendar. It's using that calendar icon, and it's linking to that custom Laravel route, which I don't have defined on here, so it's just going to be a 404. But if I was to replace this with an array, I'll maybe have a couple of different strings that I want to have in here, like calendar, staff, event, or something like that. Let's just refresh that again. Let's open it up, staff. And now you can see it's using this breadcrumb style like we have if we're looking at our collections, blog, and our entries, for example. Now, we're working on a client project. Maybe we want to be a little bit cheeky and add a way for our clients to find us a little bit more easily. So maybe I can change this to Michael, consultant, contact, contact. Maybe we'll just add one more at the front, help. And maybe I'll change the URL to something like my own website. HTTPS. And I'm going to change the icon to the favorite stars. Oops, and I'll make sure I have that extra thing there. Let's refresh our cache and configuration. And I look for help. And there we go. And that'll link to my own website if I do that. And if we wanted to open up in a new tab, then we can add that extra open in a new tab true. And then it'll not take us away from our context and open in a new tab for us. Now, finally, we can talk about some extra white labeling. Now, we've done this in a previous video, but let's just look at it again and see what we can do to make this nicer for our clients. So coming back over here to the white labeling in the documentation, you can see that there's a mechanism to add a custom logo URL. And I'm just going to go straight into my cp.php. This is for the control panel. And now if I wanted to override things, I can just grab some of these and put them straight into my env file and reference the URL for my logo that way. Or I can just add it here if I don't want to have it necessarily different from environment to environment. So I'm going to change this over to my Cascadia light mode.png, and this will be Cascadia dark mode.png. And these are just referencing files that are in the public directory here. So you've got these two PNG files in the root of the public directory. If I was to come back to the dashboard here and give it a refresh, you can see that the Statamic logo went away, and now we're using this dark logo. So maybe for my nav, I actually want to use the dark mode one, which has the light colored icon. And there we go, that's the one that I want to do. And for the outside, this is going to be what's shown when I'm on the login screen, when I'm logged out. And if I have light mode defined, we'll see what happens. If I sign out, we've got a bit of a problem there. Let's just give it a refresh. Outside, oh, there's a typo there. That's what's going on. There we go. And this is the light logo. So maybe I actually want to use the light mode, which will be the dark logo. There we go. So if I wanted to be picky like this, and whether I'm using the light or the dark mode, and I have different versions of my logo, you can be picky about that here. And you can also use, if we're in our env file, for example, you can use the custom logo URL and the custom dark logo URL and make sure that those are distinct, and bring those over into the env, for example, and you would do it something like this. And then depending on whether you're logged in or logged out, and if it's light or dark mode, it'll use the correct one. So we'll just log back in. There we go, and we're back to showing our correct logo. Now that's all for today. But before we go, I just wanted to point out that my starter kit is available for purchase here on the Statamic Marketplace. And I've just recently updated it for version 6 so that you can leverage all this stuff for your own projects. And it's going to be on sale for the rest of the month here in February. And so there's going to be a coupon code in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, sign up for my email newsletter. The link is in the description there also. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.